Welcome to the RGS at Home video lectures. In this lecture, I will provide you with a brief introduction on the brain networks that underlie cognitive functions. Every day, we engage in countless different tasks. We rapidly learn new concepts and apply acquired information quickly to other situations. How is our brain achieving this? The brain is a dynamic network structure where flexible functional interactions between regions give rise to complex goal-oriented human behavior. It is currently thought that cognitive functions arise from neuronal interactions between distributed regions, which will form functional networks. These functional networks emerge from the anatomical structure of the brain. Whereas some functional neuronal networks appear to be more modular and static, others are hypothesized to be dynamic and flexible in order to achieve a variety of tasks. For instance, let's look at reading. When people are asked to read while their brain is scanned, something that has been termed the reading network emerges. However, when the brain is scanned while resting, some areas that belong to the reading network appear not to correlate with this network anymore. Instead, they are forming part of other networks, in specific the dorsal attention network. This means that regions that are activated while reading appear also to be involved in many other tasks too. These findings suggest that our brain can flexibly configure distributed regions depending on the task demand, supporting the notion that it builds on various functional neural networks. The frontal parietal network is such a dynamic network. It includes the lateral prefrontal cortex and the posterior parietal cortex. This network appears to be most active in novel, non-routine tasks and is thought to contribute to a variety of task demand. As such, it appears to play a crucial role in modulating cognitive control abilities. It seems that the frontal parietal network is composed or interconnected with flexible hubs of brain regions. In order to implement the cognitive control over a multitude of tasks, it shifts the functional connectivity patterns with those interconnected regions upon task demand. It has been demonstrated that there is a positive correlation between the functional integration of the frontal parietal network and overall cognitive ability. This indicates that the strength of functional integration of this network and the rest of the brain is important for supporting superior cognitive functioning. In order to accommodate a variety of cognitive tasks, the frontal parietal network changes its functional connectivity with those networks that are more task-specific and static. This flexible change in connectivity patterns appears to aid rapid acquisition of novel tasks. For instance, if the subject is asked to press a button when two items are green, the frontal parietal network appears to establish connectivity patterns with the visual and the motor network. Once acquired, the functional connectivity patterns of one task also appear to transfer to other tasks. So if the subject in a similar task is asked to press the left button when two items are loud, the motor network connectivity pattern remains engaged, while a connectivity pattern with the auditory network instead of the visual network is involved. These findings support the notion that the frontal parietal network is crucial in initiating and adjusting cognitive control. Other dynamic networks within the frontal parietal network are the ones that control attention, the dorsal and the ventral attention network. For instance, humans are able to deliberately direct their attention to targets in a complex visual scene to act upon them. If a subject would be asked to find the peeled orange in this still life painting and press a button upon detection, the subject will use the information given to find the detail and press the button with ease. This is possible because the dorsal frontal parietal system generates an attentional set comprising of the target's features as well as the motor response necessary, which then facilitates the detection of and the response to the targets. This ability has been termed top-down control and activates the dorsal posterior parietal and the frontal regions in both sides of the brain. On the other hand, attention can also be captured by stimuli because they appear very different from other stimuli or are very salient to us. For instance, when looking at this picture, we can readily spot the red dot among the blue dots, although we are asked to count the blue dots. This sensory orienting process appears to be mediated by the ventral attention network, which includes the tempoparietal junction and the ventral frontal cortex, and which appears to be lateralized to the right side of the brain. This network appears to interrupt ongoing cognitive activity when a stimulus appears to be potentially important or salient enough to attract our attention despite an ongoing task. It has been hypothesized that the cognitive deficits observed after stroke could be due to a damage or a disruption to these functional networks. As a consequence, patients can display multiple cognitive deficits that impair them to perform well in everyday tasks. In a study by Corbett et al., it was found that there are regions in which a stroke can lead up to 5 deficits. They further found that these multiple deficits are grouped, which means that they form clusters that contain not only physical deficits, but as well cognitive deficits. Hence, it can be concluded that a typical stroke patient will face most likely multiple deficits that include physical as well as cognitive impairments. We have reached the end of this lecture. Please try to answer for yourself the following 3 questions. What appears to be a characteristic of the brain? Which network is thought to flexibly accommodate a variety of tasks? Which areas belong to the ventral attention network? Thank you for listening.